UFC 318 is this weekend. Dustin Poirier's retirement fight in New Orleans. It's a trilogy fight with Max Holloway. In this video, I'm going to be giving a full card breakdown and prediction for every fight on the card. So stick around to hear my thoughts on UFC 318. I'm Wyatt, and this is Fight Society. We will start with the main event of UFC 318. That is Dustin Poirier versus Max Holloway 3 for the UFC BMF belt. This is a trilogy where Poirier has already won the first two fights, and this kind of just made sense for his retirement fight because he doesn't have to fight an up-and-coming stud like Topuria, or at the time when Topuria first moved up, it seemed like up-and-coming, but, you know, now he's the face of the sport. I guess they didn't want to make the Gaethje fight. Oliveira already booked with Topuria. He's not going to get a title shot. He's not going to fight an up-and-coming contender. So Max Holloway officially leaving 145 pounds for the lightweight division makes a lot of sense for Dustin Poirier's retirement fight. Now, for Max Holloway, this is a risky fight. Dustin does hit hard, and Max Holloway is coming off of a knockout loss to Ilia Topuria. He has had quite a bit of time off, so it should be okay, but Dustin hits hard, and he's coming off of a knockout loss. Now, Max Holloway is the taller fighter, but Dustin Poirier does have the reach advantage. I think that this is going to be just like their first two fights, or especially their second fight. This is going to be a boxing-heavy matchup. Basically, unless somebody gets rocked on the feet, they might shoot for a takedown, try to clinch a little bit. But this is going to be a boxing match with 4-ounce gloves, all right? That's how this fight's going to go. Given that Dustin Poirier survived and gave a very, very hard fight to Islam Makhachev, and Max Holloway is coming off of a knockout loss in the second round to another super high-level fighter, and Poirier's won the first two times, and Max Holloway's coming up from 145 again because he's been bouncing around in weight a little bit. I don't see this going much different than their first two fights, but specifically the second fight, because I think Dustin Poirier is going to just be a little bit stronger, hit a little bit harder, and make Max start to get a little bit gun shy, given that he just got knocked out. Max might win the first round, but Poirier's going to come out hot. He knows this is his last fight. He's going to go out on his shield. He's not going to play safe. There's nothing after this fight for Dustin Poirier. He's going to go for it. Max Holloway has a career to fight on after this fight, you know what I mean? Whereas Poirier doesn't. He's decided that this is the last one. And Max Holloway, coming off of a knockout loss, is going to be worried about his chin. So I think he's going to be taking less chances and subconsciously might be okay with getting a decision loss here. And that's how I think it's going to go. Dustin's going to just win the boxing exchanges, maybe drop the first round. I think it's going to be a 49-46 decision for Poirier, with Poirier losing the first and winning the last four. Maybe even a round 4 or round 5 KO for Poirier. I mean, Poirier cracks. I mean, his KO, even though it's from a different stance because Poirier is a southpaw, his KO of Benoit Saint-Denis was actually fairly similar to the KO that Ilia Topuria put on Max Holloway. I could see a 4th round or 5th round KO for Poirier as well. But that's my official prediction, is Poirier, for sure. Now, he says this is his last fight. If he goes out there and starches Max, like I just said is possible, maybe he sticks around for a Topuria fight, but he's going to fight like this is his last fight. He's going to go out on his shield. Now, moving on to the co-main event, they did restructure this card a little to make it a little bit more digestible for the fans, because originally they had Dan Ige against Patricio Pitbull as the co-main event. But here we have Paulo Costa versus Roman Kopylov. I'm just going to come out and say it. Paulo Costa is going to win this fight. Even though he's coming off back-to-back losses in 2024 against Rob Whittaker and Sean Strickland, those are massive steps up from Roman Kopylov, in my opinion. Roman Kopylov has shown to one gas out, which Paulo Costa has as well, and Paulo Costa does get gun shy. He did run backwards for the entire Strickland fight. Oh, you know what I just noticed? Kind of interesting. Paulo Costa's last fight, he was the co-main event against Sean Strickland to Dustin Poirier in the main event. So both Costa and Dustin Poirier's previous fight was on the same card, with Dustin as the main event and Paulo Costa as the co-main event. Kind of interesting. But Roman Kopylov is prone to gas out. He's also shown that he's not very good in the grappling department, whereas Paulo Costa has good jiu-jitsu. And if it really comes down to it and he's getting beat on the feet, he could probably submit Kopylov. I know he has the shorter reach, but Paulo Costa finds a way inside anyway, and he has very, very good high kicks, switch kicks, all of that. I think Paulo Costa might even beat Kopylov in specifically kickboxing too. So my prediction is Paulo Costa 30-27 decision, because Paulo Costa has shown a bit of a lack of finishing ability. So I'm going to go with Paulo Costa by decision over Roman Kopylov. Moving on from there, Kevin Holland back at 170, going up against D-Rod. He's going to be too fast. He's going to be too long. I think he's going to drop D-Rod in the first round, follow him to the ground, and choke him. I think that's really it. Kevin Holland locked in at 170 pounds is scary good, and D-Rod is a bit slower. Honestly, he's good, skilled, but it's in one facet, and that's boxing, and Kevin Holland's going to beat him in that facet and probably drop and sub him is what I think. So I got Kevin Holland by submission first round, maybe second, but first round. Moving on from there, we have Dan Ige going up against Patricio Pitbull. Patricio Pitbull just fought like 4 months ago on the Miami card against Yair Rodriguez, where he kind of never got out of first gear. He just coasted to a 30-27 decision. He couldn't close the distance, really couldn't do anything against Yair. This is a much better matchup for him in Dan Ige, but Dan Ige still has longer reach. He's got KO power. There's going to be some good grappling exchanges here. Pitbull needs to come out with some sort of aggressiveness, because we didn't see it for honestly at all against Yair. But I do think that Patricio's just older, not going to be able to beat Dan Ige to the spot. And Dan Ige's a dog. I mean, he took the Diego Lopez fight on like 4 hours notice and went to a decision. I know he lost to Bryce Mitchell, but Dan Ige's still got it. And Pitbull, I don't know. We haven't seen him translate to UFC success. I know it's only been one fight, but I'm going to go with Dan Ige by 30-27 decision. I think Pitbull's going to be 0-6 in rounds in the UFC, but I'm going with Dan Ige to win by decision. I know he has KO power, brutally KO'd Andre Fili, and he finds a way to avoid big shots and land big shots of his own. I don't think he's going to KO Pitbull, but I think it's going to be a pretty dominant performance on the feet and in the grappling if it goes to that. But I'm thinking Dan Ige 30-27 decision. Now, moving on from there, a fight that I'm really not thrilled about being on the main card of a pay-per-view that costs $80. Michael Johnson against Daniel Zellhuber. If we're being real, this is a setup. They're trying to get Daniel Zellhuber into the rankings, but he needs one more good win. Michael Johnson's 3 inches shorter, 4-inch reach disadvantage, 3-inch leg reach disadvantage. Massive underdog, as you can see right here. He's going to get knocked out. Zellhuber's going to KO him in the first round. Zellhuber is massive for the weight class. I know 3 inches doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but when you see the difference in there, and you consider the fact that Michael Johnson has fought at 145 pounds before, which means he really doesn't cut that much weight for 155. Zellhuber, massive, definitely cuts a ton of weight to make this weight class. He's going to KO Michael Johnson in the first round. It's going to be a sick pay-per-view main card. Let me see, like knockout, decision, finish, decision, and then sick fight is probably what's going to happen. But it's still sick. I like it a lot. And moving on from there, we have the featured prelim ranked bantamweight matchup. Kyler Phillips 12-3 against Vinicius Oliveira 22-3. Now, they are both very, very good and next generation bantamweights. Now, Kyler Phillips just lost to Rob Font last year, while Vinicius Oliveira is coming off of a win over Said Nurmagomedov. Vinicius Oliveira is very exciting. I think he might have beaten Ricky Simone as well. And then he also had that insane viral KO of Bernardo Sapage at the Apex, which was, I think, both of their UFC debut. And I remember that was actually my very first fight companion on this channel. I was like, oh my God, Sapage is dead. But anyways, Kyler Phillips, very talented, very athletic. That's why he's called the Matrix. But Vinicius Oliveira cuts a lot of weight for the weight class, and he has a lot of physicality. Quite honestly, disrespect towards his opponent's power. He doesn't regard anything that comes his way. And he puts out a lot of damage, swings for the fences on literally every punch, every kick, trying to get his opponent out of there. And he's so big for the weight class. He has a massive physical size advantage against Kyler Phillips. I mean, look at their bodies here. No Diddy, but look at their bodies. Him versus him. He looks frail. He looks like a middle schooler compared to him right here. So I think we're going to get a Vinicius Oliveira 29-28 decision where he wins the first 2 rounds clearly and then gasses out, because he has done that before. He was probably supposed to lose to Sapage in that fight, but KO'd him at the buzzer, like with like a minute left in the fight. I think it's going to be Vinicius Oliveira 29-28. Moving on, we have a fight that should be way, way higher on the card. We have Marvin Vettori versus Brendan Allen. I hate to say it, but this is going to be a super boring fight. As much as these guys hate each other, the fact that they got into a fist fight in a hotel in Vegas like a year ago, and this is on Brendan Allen's home turf. You'd think this would be a sick fight, but it's Vettori versus Allen. You have granite chin, one of the best chins in UFC history, Marvin Vettori, going up against pillow hands, finds a way to gas out and lose in most fights, Brendan Allen. It's going to be a very brutal decision. Now that I'm explaining the fight, I actually understand why it's not on the main card, but a necessary matchup in the middleweight division. There's some hype on it. Maybe they put on a scrap. I really doubt it. I'm going to go with Marvin Vettori, 29-28 decision. Maybe he has a couple tricky moments where Allen gets his back and he has to survive till the end of the round. But Marvin Vettori is going to find a way to outpoint his way to a win, as boring as it's probably going to be. Crazy to think that he had a title shot against Izzy, but here it is. Going to be a boring fight. Now I understand the more I talk about it, why it's so low on the card. But down from there, Francisco Prado versus Nikolai Veretnikov. Now, Nikolai Veretnikov, I watched him fight against Austin Vanderford when I traveled to Seattle. If you guys remember, I did that vlog for UFC Seattle. And then Francisco Prado, I know he's coming off of a loss, but very good, stocky, good, tanky type of build for the weight class. Nikolai Veretnikov fought at 175 in his last fight because they did a catch weight for Vanderford. Now, I'm going to go with Francisco Prado, keeping the fight on the feet, boxing his way to a 29-28 decision. I don't think there's going to be many finishes on this card, but this is going to be one of them, is Atiba Gautier against Robert Valentin. Two very big prospects. Not like prospect, not big in terms of hype, but literal size. 6'4" and 6'2" at middleweight. Very big. Gautier has an 80-inch reach. He's got KO power. Knocked his last opponent out in the first round. Valentin lost to Torres Finney. We know who that is. So personally, I think that Gautier is going to steamroll Robert Valentin. Valentin leaves his chin up in exchanges. He's going to get clipped and dropped in the first round. I think he's going to get slept badly. Moving on to the early prelims, we have Adam Fugit against Islam Dulatov. Dulatov, big name prospect. He's 11-1, not 1-0. I don't know why they have him as that. Look, he's getting thrown a respectable matchup in his first fight. He's the guy that they're trying to push, and Adam Fugit is a respectable name. He's 10-4. He has some experience, but Dulatov's going to run through him. I think not run through him, but 30-27 decision, just outclassing him. Here we have Jimmy Crute and Marcin Prachnio. Listen, Jimmy Crute has been wishy-washy about being a fighter. He's taken lots of time off. I hate that mindset. It means that he's doubting it every single time that he's in there. Whereas Prachnio is out here hitting like question mark kicks while he's backed up against the fence in like clinch range. He's big for the weight class. I'm going to go with Marcin Prachnio in a competitive fight, but a second round TKO. I think he's going to drop Jimmy Crute and follow up with some nasty ground and pound that finishes the fight. Moving on from there, we have Ryan Spann at heavyweight against Lucas Bursky. Now, I know they're both coming off losses, but Lucas Bursky is literally awful. So I have to pick Ryan Spann. Probably by decision, because I don't think he's going to be able to get Bursky out of there. Bursky has proven to be kind of durable. But if Ryan Spann loses to Lucas Bursky, you have to cut him from the sport. He already has 11 losses. This would be a really bad loss, and he lost his heavyweight debut. Loser of this fight gets cut. I think the person getting cut is going to be Lucas Bursky. I mean, Ryan Spann has the former light heavyweight speed, but he weighs 250. Bursky weighs 234, which tells me he's basically an undisciplined 205er, and he's 9-6. So I'm going to go with Ryan Spann, ground and pound TKO. Maybe a decision, but ground and pound TKO. Moving on from there, we have Bruno Ferreira against Jackson McVeigh. Jackson McVeigh was supposed to fight Cedricus Dumas. Cedricus Dumas had the whole ankle monitor situation, had to pull out, and then the replacement opponent kind of BS'd the UFC into thinking he could make weight, and he missed by like 12 pounds, and they cut him. So Jackson McVeigh, several weeks later, now fighting Bruno Ferreira, who had that nasty knockout of... I think he knocked out RoboCop. No, Bruno Ferreira actually KO'd Phil Hawes and Dustin Stoltzfus. Then he got submitted by Abus Magomedov and then subbed Armin Petrosian. He actually has some good UFC matchups so far, and McVeigh is very untested. 6-0, 26 years old. I got to go with Ferreira by first round KO. First round finish, I'll say. Carly Judas versus Nicole Cagliari. Look, they're both very unexperienced, 8-3. Going up against 4-2. I'm just going to go with the bigger fighter. because neither of them have the, I mean, she kind of has a little bit of a, never mind. But I'm going to go with Carly Judas, 6-inch reach advantage, 4-inch height advantage, coming off a win versus coming off of a loss. Wow, dude, her arms are so short. Let me move myself. Look at this. Look at this. Her arms are so short. They barely make it past her hips. Oh my God, that's insane. I'm going to go with Judas just on the height advantage. I know I should probably pick the one that looks a little bit more, but I'm going to go with Carly Judas by decision because it's a women's fight. So there are my predictions. I have Poirier probably by KO, possibly by decision. Paulo Costa by decision. Kevin Holland first round finish. Ige by decision. Daniel Zellhuber by first round KO. Vinicius Oliveira by 29-28 decision. Marvin Vettori by 29-28 decision. Francisco Prado by 29-28 decision. Atiba Gautier by first round KO. Islam Dulatov by 30-27 decision. Marcin Prachnio second round TKO. Ryan Spann decision or second round TKO. Bruno Ferreira first round finish. And Carly Judas versus Nicole Cagliari. I have Carly Judas by decision. So there's my picks, guys. Let me know yours down below. For UFC 318, Holloway versus Poirier 3. Let me know what you think. Does Dustin Poirier stick around for a title shot if he wins? Let me know your thoughts down below. Did you like this video? Then like and subscribe down below. I also do multiple live streams per week, along with behind the scenes content and members only live streams for our channel members. So become a channel member for access to bonus content. It's only $5 per month and it greatly helps the channel's growth. I also do a podcast with my best friend Bo, and I have a non-MMA channel as well called Wyatt's World. You can check both of those out linked below.